There are a lot of different part-time jobs in Germany, and as someone who is studying and working here, I'm going to rank the most popular ones from best to worst so that you can make a good decision. So let's start this list off with tutoring. Tutoring is one of the most rewarding part-time jobs for students, especially if you're strong in a particular subject or if you have a talent for explaining complex concepts. So I would say one of the most common options is becoming a tutor at your own university. Every university has this opportunity. You can lead study groups or assist with tutorials for subjects you've already mastered. And the university typically pays you, and it's a great way to stay on campus. And this way you can deepen your understanding of topics by teaching them to others, which is really beneficial. And you also maintain a flexible schedule. And I would say the workload is really not that much as a tutor. Plus, it's great for your resume because it shows leadership and subject expertise. So for these reasons, I would rate tutoring a solid A. So another very common part-time job in Germany is working as a cashier. And you can find cashier jobs at supermarkets, drugstores, retail stores, and even in fast food chains. So I would say this job doesn't necessarily help you develop highly advanced skills like coding or writing, but it teaches you a lot about handling money, working with customers, and managing time effectively. Plus, it's an excellent way to practice your German, since you will most likely interact with customers all the time. A good friend of mine, he's an international student, he came to this country with basic language skills. I think it was A2 German. And through his job as a cashier, he got really comfortable interacting with people here in Germany. So it definitely has its advantages. But the one downside is that this job can be repetitive, and standing on your feet for long hours, this is not very nice. And I would say the pay is typically not as high as in other jobs. You can expect to get a little bit over minimum wage. But if you're looking for a stable, straightforward work, it's a solid option. So for these reasons, I would rate this a B. It's a steady job and you'll be able to find one quite easily, but it doesn't offer that much professional growth. And by the way, let me know your experience with part-time jobs in the comments down below. So the next part-time job, or let's say job category, is Werkstudent, and this means working student. And the really cool thing about Germany is that it's possible to work at big companies like BMW, Mercedes and Bosch while you're still studying. So you can work up to 20 hours a week, usually in a position related to your studies. So for example, if you study computer science, you can apply for, let's say, Siemens and work as a student software engineer. Or as a design student, you can work in a proper design agency. And there are special job postings for these roles on the internet. Just be on the lookout for the term Werkstudent, working student. So what makes this job so valuable is the hands-on experience you gain and the networking opportunities with professionals in your industry. And there is also the possibility that the company offers you a full-time position after you graduate, because they know you're already familiar with the company and its operations. So this is definitely an S-tier job. I would say it's the best option in terms of career development, networking and even pay. The salary tends to be higher than other part-time jobs. It's usually above minimum wage. Now, if you speak proper German, your chances of landing these working student jobs are even higher. I have a bunch of videos on my channel about learning German, so check them out after watching this video. Alright, let's talk about the next job. Working in a cafe or restaurant as a waiter or waitress is one more popular part-time job. And the great thing about this kind of work is that it can be quite flexible. You can arrange shifts that fit well into your schedule. So if you enjoy working with people and don't mind being on your feet, this can be a fun job. So one big benefit that all the other jobs don't have is the potential for tips. In Germany, it's normal to tip 10% of the bill. However, the work can also be physically demanding. You have to run around all day, manage customer orders, and you have to also deal with annoying customers. And this can be very, very draining and demanding and also stressful. And on top of that, the base salary might not be very high and you'll have to rely on tips to make a decent amount. But because of its flexibility and the potential to earn well, I would rank being a waiter/waitress as a B. So a small tip from my side, I can recommend having a part-time job in the higher semesters, so once you get used to the university life. For most students, directly working 20 hours per week in the first semester is not the best idea. It's better to start looking from the second semester onwards. So the next part-time job is being a delivery rider. And this also offers a lot of flexibility because you can often choose your own working hours. Plus it keeps you active, which can be a good thing if you enjoy cycling or riding around the city. I assume most students don't have a car, I also don't have a car, so you're probably going to use the bicycle or a scooter. And similar to waitressing, tips can boost your income here. And on the downside, being a delivery rider is weather dependent, and cycling or riding a scooter in the rain or cold can be quite tough, especially in the German winter. And also the pay might not always be consistent, and you might have to work during peak hours like evenings and weekends to make more money. So for these reasons, I would give delivery rider jobs a solid C. So let's move on to freelance activities. So this one is not a classic part-time job, but nowadays I see more and more students pick up some kind of freelance gig to earn some side income. I also used to do this for a long time as a photographer and videographer, but there are many more possibilities. But if you are an international student from a non-EU country, there are additional bureaucratic challenges. So in that case, you need special permission from the Foreign Office, the Ausländerbehörde, because normally you cannot freelance on a student visa. And even for German students, you have to register a business, which can involve a bit of paperwork. It also takes time to build a client base, and in the beginning it might not be as financially rewarding as other jobs. Freelancing doesn't guarantee a stable monthly income. So for these reasons, I would rank freelancing as a D, unfortunately. But if you do it well, you can make a lot of money while being in university. I have a couple of friends who are killing it with freelance videography or programming work, so it's definitely possible. So one more part-time job option for students is working on-campus jobs, like being a research assistant or supporting administrative departments. And these jobs usually have a direct connection to your studies, like tutoring, so they can be really beneficial for your academic and professional development. For example, as a Hilfswissenschaftler, so Hiwi, you might assist professors with their research, help prepare teaching materials, or manage databases. And these jobs are also typically quite flexible, and the university respects your study schedule, and they're really understanding when the exam season comes around. And on top of that, working in a research position looks excellent on your CV, especially if you plan to pursue an academic career. But there are also other types of on-campus jobs. For example, I used to work as a videographer and content creator for my university for almost a year. Now, if you think about the relevance to your studies and the networking potential, I would give on-campus jobs a solid A. The downside is that they might be limited in availability, and sometimes the pay is not that great compared to, normal companies. But for a lot of these jobs, having solid German skills is very, very important. So if you want to learn German directly from me, check out my affordable program Speak German in the video description. Subscribe and join our huge Discord community. Love you and stay focused.